The views, opinions, and information expressed during Youth Services podcast series are solely those of individuals involved. Any recommendations or advice during the podcast is general in nature and does not replace the need to seek professional advice. If you are in need of urgent assistance, please call 000 or the Kids Helpline on 1800 55 1800.
Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of our podcast series. I'm Sophie.
And I'm Taylor.
And today we're going to be speaking to Sandi from our Youth Counselling and Support Service. We have some great information in store, so please stay with us.
Before we start, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend a warm welcome to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people among us.
I want to start by firstly asking, how have you been going working from home?
Hi everyone. I have actually found working from home to be quite good. So there's been quite a lot of changes for our team. In particular, we do youth counselling and we've moved away from face-to-face, obviously for social restriction reasons, and we're doing phone and video counselling. And I've just found it to be really convenient, I suppose, because I don't have to drive from centre to centre. So I just have a lot more time during the day to get things done quite quicker. I think it's been pros and cons for the young people I've worked with. Like, some people really love it because you can just be in your bedroom and in your pajamas and having a counselling session. For others,
love it.
Yeah, and that's part of why I love it as well, because I'm in my pajamas. I'm doing a counselling session. So yeah, definitely a pro has just been the convenience side of it. But yeah, it is very different and very new because I think so much of counselling is about connection and actually meeting someone and building rapport and building a bit of a relationship, which is a bit harder to do when you actually don't see the person.
Yeah.
So it's taken a little bit of getting used to, but there's a lot of sort of pros and cons. And overall, personally, I've actually, really enjoyed just the time that I have in my day overall, even just not having to travel to work, because I live about 45 minutes away. So that just gives me more time in my day as well. Yeah. So the time factor has been a big thing that's been quite positive for me.
And what's something in particular that you've struggled with? Because you mentioned the pros and cons. What are some more? What's something in particular that you've struggled with?
Yeah, so in terms of the working from home side, I think, as I mentioned, particularly for clients I haven't met before. So there's been some young people that, have just started up counselling during this time, and I haven't obviously met them in person before. So that's been a little bit harder, I think, compared with young people that I've worked with before, and then moving on to phone or video counselling, because they already know me, so they can I think almost visualise what I look like when I'm saying things and vice versa. So for new people, I think it's been a little bit more challenging. Just having sort of casual conversations over the phone, that's been a bit harder. But so that's probably been one of the challenges. I think other than the working from home, just personally as well, I think I've just struggled a little bit with obviously not having much social contact in person with my friends and family and stuff. Specifically on the weekends, because I just find the weekdays and the weekends are the same nowadays.
Yes. Yeah. Still, 100%.
So exactly. It used to be something you look forward to and it's something different and you go out and do stuff, but now it's kind of the weekdays I'm okay, I'm working, it's kind of convenient, as I said. Then the weekends it's now what? I want to go out and do stuff, but I can't. I want to see people and I can't. So that's kind of sucked a little bit. So that's
definitely. Definitely. I completely get that. And obviously we have Monday, a public holiday as well, but sometimes it just doesn't quite feel like it at the moment. And I guess
you feel kind of getting jibbed a public holiday a little bit.
Unfair. Hello. Especially even Easter. Obviously we had that time where we were social distancing and isolating from others. So that was a really strange time as well. It was a holiday, but at the same time, it didn't really feel like that. But I guess as a positive, it also gave you time to actually be at home and be with the people that you are living with as well, and having a bit more time to, I mean, I'm a procrastinator 100%, but cleaning out some cupboards and doing a bit more reading than I would normally do has been really great. Obviously with your work, you've spoken to a few different young people, and you've probably obviously seen maybe some trends that are coming out of that. And is there any particular activities that you suggest for young people to do at home that you've noticed that you've had a really good response from, or that it's been recommended to you?
Yeah, having spoken to a few different people, it's interesting to see sort of the different things people are doing to keep themselves occupied and kind of what's working for them. I think just leaving the house from time to time, going for a walk, getting that exercise in, or just even just physically leaving the space that you're in for so long, like your room or the house. That's been something that people have said they really needed, and I think has been important for their mental health. Just getting in touch with nature a little bit, even if it's going to the park or just walking down the street, I think is really important and has been helpful for a lot of people as well. I think I've spoken to a lot of young people about just how you could maybe even make the most of this time by starting a new hobby of some sort that maybe be motivated or have enough time to do. So, some people have told me about how they're like playing an instrument or painting and doing, lots of people are doing puzzles. That's just a thing lately.
Yeah.
People
it's a good market to be selling all the puzzles at the moment.
I know, that business is thriving. Puzzles.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Another one is also like cooking. Like that's something you can easily do at home, baking, making a cake and muffins and stuff like that. So I think just those simple things and little things have been what a lot of the young people I've talked to have been doing. That's been helping them kind of make the most of this time, as well as, you know, all the changes and stuff. So
really great. Yeah, I've got halfway started new hobbies all over the house. I've got a halfway done painting. I made some candles.
Oh, that's awesome.
How to make candles. So there you go. There's a lot of good new things that you can try. Is there a particular strategy that you would recommend, Sandi, if the young people, they've tried all that and they're still sort of feeling a bit cooped up and anxious? Is there anything that you would recommend, or anything that you've noticed that young people have been doing to sort of benefit them in isolation?
Yeah, if they're feeling anxious in particular. I think this might be one that young people cringe a little bit at, but great.
I love that word.
Great time to start maybe some meditation, even like 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. I think that's just such a good practice for everyone, young people and adults alike. And often we're so busy and we're just not really motivated, you know, to do it. And I guess now is a time where it's kind of good to get into that sort of practice of even doing a 5-minute meditation, which will just help us be a little bit more calm, relaxed and mindful overall of the thoughts that are going through our head during the day. Because I think particularly in this time, it's really easy to feel really anxious because we don't really know what's going to happen with the world, and so many things are unpredictable and our normal routines are out of whack. So I think taking that extra bit of care to slow things down and be mindful, whether it's meditation or even just when you're walking, just being really mindful of how your body's feeling and the senses all over your body, the temperatures and stuff like that. I guess meditation doesn't have to be sit down, you know, in one spot for 10 minutes and try thinking. Incorporating that meditative or mindfulness practice in your day-to-day when you're doing things like painting and doing those hobbies might be a good way to alleviate some of that anxiety. Just another one as well, I think I just thought of as I was saying what I was saying before was about routine. I think that's been super key for a lot of people, including myself. When you're always at home and I think when you're at school and work and stuff, the routine's kind of created a bit for you because, you know, school has like recess and lunchtime and after school hours and stuff like that. Like you don't really need to think about routine as much, but when you're at home and it's just the one room or the one house or whatever it is, like I think it makes a big difference, you know, even just like doing your hair in the morning or washing your face in the morning or changing your clothes from your pajamas. It's okay if you don't do that sometimes because, look, we're human. Sometimes we need but,
sometimes it's just one of those days.
It's one of those days.
We've all been there during this isolation.
That's actually a really good point, Sandy, about the structure of, I guess, any person's day and how it's changed. And earlier you were talking about those morning routines, how something so simple that, you know, effectively waking up at a particular time to then, having your cup of tea and getting changed and getting ready for work. It's so different now.
Totally.
And it is very different. And touching on your mindfulness, I guess I sit in the class of one of those people that meditation is one of those words that I'm like, I can never meditate. Like I just can't do it. But saying that, the way that you describe it and the fact of even going for a walk, I guess is what I've realized can count towards some sort of meditation. You know, looking around, the smells, especially in wintertime and autumn, the different trees, the different colours that are coming through, effectively, you know, I don't realize that I guess I am meditating, but that's a really good opportunity to reflect back and go, that was some mindfulness that you did for the day.
Definitely.
That's right. So I've heard that you can even sort of practice mindfulness or meditation even when you're doing little things like brushing your teeth in the morning and just focusing on like the movements and all this sort of thing. So that way you're not setting time aside to do it. It's when those boring sort of tasks during the day that you can focus on it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, because sometimes it can seem a little bit impossible, but if it is those simple things that you're doing in the day, then you know it is.
Yeah,
definitely. I sometimes think that that's even more effective as well, because you know, if you're just doing the 10 minutes, while that's good too, like then you forget about doing it for the rest of the day, I suppose. When that might be when you really need it. Like if you're stressed at school, you're stressed at work, you know, that might, if you've already integrated those practices, you know, into your daily routine through those things that you're doing, like brushing your teeth and washing the dishes and stuff like that, it might be even easier to apply them, you know, in a situation when you really need to calm yourself. So in some ways, I think it's, you know, it's different for everyone, whatever suits you, but in some ways it can be really good to do it that way as well.
Definitely. And I think maybe, you know, even that's the benefit of being at home and being more with yourself. I think I've know a lot of friends that are going through a bit of a tough time at the moment, but they've been strong for so long and they're acknowledging that there's probably some things that they're facing now. And I think a lot of that is down to that they have more time to be with themselves and understand themselves and acknowledge their emotions and acknowledge their feelings, especially when we're in such a busy world. It's kind of like it's slowed down a little bit. So we're able to take time to understand ourselves a little bit more. And in saying that, have you realised anything about yourself during this time, Sandy, that you've had to think about, or something that you didn't even expect to realise?
Yeah, definitely. I can relate to what you're saying. A lot of people I've spoken to have found that the distractions are kind of out of the way and they're left with things that maybe they didn't want to face, you know, avoid a little bit. There's kind of no choice but to sort of face them, and they're all kind of surfacing, and that can be really, really challenging, particularly when you don't have your social networks as close to you. But yeah, it's an interesting observation because I've found the same thing in my networks as well. But for myself, I think the biggest thing that I've learned during this time about myself would be that as I mentioned before, like I've actually quite enjoyed this period of just slowing down and having a lot of time for myself. And I think I'm usually quite a busy person. I've got lots of different things that I'm juggling outside of work as well as work itself. So being able to kind of do them slowly and not having to sort of cram as much into my routine has been really enjoyable for me. But what I've learned is, because I've enjoyed that so much, I've been thinking, how can I integrate that, you know, when things go back to normal? You know, do I really want to be as busy as I usually am? And you know, do I really enjoy that lifestyle? Not really. So how can I sort of integrate, you know, what I've learned during this period? And I guess the way that I found that I could do that is by just kind of being a bit more comfortable saying no to certain things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, Yeah, like I just have, a lot of social obligations and stuff, which gives me less time to do things like uni and just fitting everything in. So I think, and sometimes it can be hard to say no because you don't see people too often and you really, want to see them and don't want to miss out, and fear of missing out is a thing. So
that's such a real thing, FOMO.
If your friends are going to brunch, you don't want to say no. But yeah, I think just like reminding myself that it's okay, and sometimes an act of self-love to say no to things, because then it's going to allow me to feel, calmer and have more time and space, which is something I really value. So that's a little bit of a lesson that I want to take through this, I think.
Yeah, no, it's really valid. And I guess that's what we're saying or seeing as well, is that the world is going to be a little bit different in the way that we do things and the way that we interact and go about our day. And that doesn't mean it's a negative at all. It just means that we're going to adapt and we're going to expand and we're going to find out new things about ourselves and, new systems and new ways that we're going to be working as well. So that's a really, really great thing.
I was just thinking, just to tack on the end of what you were saying, Sophie, is it's another silver lining is that we're sort of becoming part of history. It's something that be well known, which is just interesting to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. That's so true. It'll be interesting to see in a few years, looking back on this time, like how things have changed and, what things have kept. And I think the working from home thing is a big thing, like even as a society, like so many people can work from home and it's such a big issue all the time. So it's like, why are we doing that? It'll be interesting to see what changes come out of this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if we do have an opportunity for feedback at the end of the podcast on Casey Conversations, I'd love to hear from anyone that's listening, maybe about some experiences or what they're finding that's a little bit different. If there's any knowledge that you want to share as well of any strategies that you've been using at home or anything that you've discovered about yourself as well, I think that's a welcome space to share that as well. And just be always remembering that there is those contacts if you need them as well. We have an awesome youth counselling and support service that we have here at the City of Casey, which we're extremely lucky to have, Sandi being one of those counsellors, which is really cool. You've also got Kids Helpline. I've noticed the Headspace app has popped up on my phone a few times and I've started using that, which has been really great as well. So never be afraid to reach out. That's really important. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sandi. I really appreciate it.
Okay, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sandi.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, check out the link to Casey Conversations in the description box. All information from today's episode will be in there. Bye for now.